Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we're back with some more League of Legends off-season talk, the latest and greatest rumors, news, speculation, all that good stuff going on in the professional League of Legends scene. Just about an hour ago, we had this Reddit thread going up about a translation from a Croatian podcast that Perkz was recently on, which is really, really cool. We get a lot of awesome question and answer stuff. We're going to be going through some of the highlights on that, going through this Reddit thread. And yeah, getting some of the insights just about how the off-season went for Perkz, because obviously this was one of the biggest stories throughout the entire off-season, and really one of the bigger stories in the world for professional League of Legends, but for sure most likely the biggest story in the West, especially for North American fans, Cloud9 fans, all that good stuff. And there's a lot of interesting talking points. So there's a lot of drama, craziness surrounding Perkz's, Perk just leaving G2 and then where he ended up as well. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick, if you're not already subscribed, definitely click that subscribe button really quick. I would appreciate it a ton. It's fast, it's free, it's easy, and it helps you guys stay up to date on all my latest content. Again, we're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year. We're super, super close. So hey, help me out. Do your part. I would appreciate it a ton. With that being said, here we go. So some of the more interesting stuff as I read through this was where the interviewer asked Perkz about what was his decision to leave G2. Was it because there was an offer that was too good to refuse? And Perkz says he started thinking about leaving actually this summer. One of the reasons that playing the role, he was playing a role that he didn't really like playing. It was a role that didn't fit him well on a personal level. His character is a bit different. It's a lot better for mid lane because he's the center of the map. You have more individual responsibility. So yeah, he just wasn't happy playing AD carry. And again, that's what a lot of the speculation and everything has been. But it was really cool to see that to hear that from Perkz's mouth, really, because I know there was maybe some people thinking, oh, maybe he just thinks he has a better chance of succeeding internationally if he's a mid laner, or I don't know, there's a million different like speculative reasons and stuff. But to hear it just didn't suit him. He just wasn't happy. He didn't want to keep playing it. Then he also talks about some of the different offers he got. I know we've talked about it a little bit in the past, but he says he got offers from Korea, China, Europe, and almost every team in NA, which is pretty crazy, pretty interesting. He didn't want to go to Asia because of culture shock. That's something I talked about previously that makes a ton of sense because, yes, having to learn a new language, having to go to a completely different place, that's tough. But if you're a European heading over to North America, the United States, things aren't too different. At least the language is a little easier to get kind of situated, get comfortable. And obviously being in Los Angeles, that's never going to be bad either. He says his best option was Cloud9 because they give him a competitive team and he gets to work with Sven and Mithy, who are obviously two former friends. He's able to have some familiar faces. Obviously he's still moving halfway across the world, but having those people around him, that has to make that transition so much easier. And I think that's a great move. It is going to make it hopefully just a better overall move for him, which should help him in terms of happiness, in terms of life, but also in terms of competition, because obviously when Sven, Mithy, and Perkz were together last, they were a pretty successful team. And then he says that all the teams he was talking to were offering him a mid lane position. And the interviewer also asked, was it the best that he could have had? And Perkz says no, it actually wasn't the best offer that he had, but he doesn't want to talk about that. We've heard that before. Cloud9 actually wasn't the team that offered the most money or anything like that. But he did feel that they were the best, not the best offer monetarily, but again, in terms of competitiveness, getting to work with his friends, they were an offer he was very, very happy with. The big thing here to me, though, is that he asked, why didn't you go to Fnatic? And Perkz simply says, because they didn't let me. And again, this is something we had kind of already heard. Carlos has talked about this. I actually have a clip from the Crackdown that we can watch in a second about how he obviously wasn't going to let Perkz go to Fnatic, because then not only would Fnatic have gotten better, they would potentially even be better in G2, but then also Rekkles probably would have stayed on Fnatic. He wouldn't have left. He wouldn't have come over to G2. It would have been just an all-around worse situation for G2. But this also, Perkz saying they didn't let me, that makes it to sound like to me that Perkz would have wanted to go to Fnatic, that maybe even Fnatic was his number one option. So that is really crazy. I think that is pretty interesting. So then we also have this little clip from the Crackdown. I was trying to say a clip from the Crackdown, got my words mixed up, where Carlos actually talks about, his take on the whole situation.
Perkz scored to Fnatic. What's the reasoning on your end?
Imagine Perkz would have ended in Fnatic. Okay, what happens right after is the whole Fnatic team renews. Do I want that? No. Why?
Yeah, see, so now he's talking about, obviously, yes, if Fnatic would have got this massive upgrade in the mid lane, the rest of their team would have renewed. Obviously, Hylissang ended up renewing anyway, but he would have renewed instantly. Rekkles didn't end up renewing. He ends up coming over to G2 and being the latest piece of their team that is going to be a world championship contender. And that wouldn't have happened if Perkz was able to go to Fnatic,
my options open. Does that make me a bad person? Of go fuck yourself if that's what you think. So you're incredibly fucking naive if you think that you can build a world-class #1 team that fights for trophies by letting everybody, I was going to say something bad, but screw you from the back for free, you know? Is this not going to fucking happen? Like, I can't pay my people with Red Bulls, unfortunately. I have to pay them with money. And to build money, I have to build a business, you know? And to build a business, I need to give my sponsors, investors security that my organization is the #1. That not only I can win, but I can market products and I can...
Yeah.
And for all of that to be there, I can't just let my biggest competitor just have the better of me.
So yeah, so I thought there was a lot of really, really interesting stuff from that whole thing. Him obviously saying that, yeah, in terms of his business, not only in terms of winning LEC championships and competing at Worlds and being the best team in the world, just in terms of his business, if he wants sponsors, he needs to have the best team. He needs to have the most marketable team. He needs to have the biggest fan base. And obviously being able to bring in Reckless to G2 is going to be so amazing for them in terms of performance on the Rift, but also in terms of business. And losing Perkz and not being able to get Reckless in the same offseason would have been so good for Fnatic, and they maybe would have been able to pass G2 in terms of business and just fan base and all that stuff. Because if you saw the recent Forbes evaluations, G2 is actually the biggest European organization right now, ahead of Fnatic in terms of revenue, in terms of overall total valuation and stuff. And, you know, it's because of a lot of the things Carlos is doing. But again, obviously, like this Reddit reply says, a lot of people were upset because Carlos was saying a lot of crazy stuff on Twitter, like Luka is the king. By his legacy in G2, he's earned the full right to decide where he goes. And, you know, we later find out that maybe that all isn't so true, and maybe there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. Again, Perkz didn't really elaborate on this too much. He just says, you know, it's because they didn't let me. But again, the world where Perkz goes to Fnatic would have been pretty crazy. Reckless would still be over there. That team would be insane. They would potentially be the team maybe competing for a world championship this year. But Carlos did what he had to do. Again, he talks about he did everything within the rules, everything within the rights that he was able to do. He didn't break any contracts, didn't break any rules, anything like that. And I completely believe that. Yes, he did make a smart business decision. But again, what he was saying on Twitter and what he was telling people and what his actions were doing maybe wasn't actually adding up into reality. And maybe Perkz does have some bad blood there. Maybe Perkz has some hard feelings and stuff. I mean, we'll never really know. But it sounds like Perkz was at least interested in kind of checking out Fnatic and seeing what that situation would have been like. But again, he's happy to be at Cloud9. They weren't the best offer in the world necessarily for him, but they are a very, very good offer. They are a very good situation for him to be in. He thinks they can be competitive, and he's happy to be obviously making a ton of money, getting to work with some old friends, and hopefully getting to dominate and take over North America and continue to grow his fan base, his legacy, and all that stuff, which, you know, a new audience, a new challenge, that definitely provides those opportunities. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you think G2 did Perkz dirty? Do you think Perkz is going to have a pop-off here in Cloud9? Anything you guys think about this whole situation, I'd love to hear. Subscribe to update on the latest content. Check me out at Twitch, twitch.tv/I_am_Germ. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.